Hi everyone, I'm Walnut and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. I don't know if you've been keeping an eye out for the event Terra raids, but right now Garchomp and Sylveon are featured, so if you're looking to catch one, now's your chance. Terra raid Pokemon come with several perfect IVs, and sometimes even have their hidden ability. The event raids will be running until February 19th, midnight UTC, so don't miss out. Today I'll be showing off this team featuring Garchomp. I have a Sylveon team that I'm working on, but I won't be able to put out a video before the event ends. But if that video sounds interesting to you, then hit the subscribe button to follow along my VGC journey. Before we get into the battles, I'm going to briefly go over the team, so if you want to skip ahead, timestamps are available in the description below, along with a Pokepaste and rental code for this team. This team is one that I made recently, but after trying it out, I've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm looking to develop the team further, so here's version 1.0. I've been using Garchomp like how others have been using Great Tusk. This Garchomp is max attack, max speed, but with an adamant nature to deal even more damage. Unfortunately, it is 1 point short of outspeeding Booster Energy Iron Bundle, while Garchomp is under Tailwind, but it's still 2 points faster than Great Tusk and can outspeed Fluttermane. Garchomp is holding a Life Orb and is Terra Steel for the Iron Bundle matchup. My moves are Protect, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Dragon Claw, though I think you could consider dropping Dragon Claw for Sword Stance, though that does mean you only have spread moves, so you'll need to watch out for Wide Guard. I picked Terra Steel to match up better versus Iron Bundle. The ability is Rough Skin, but since Tyranitar is on the team, Sandveil would work as well, and since Sandveil makes you immune to Sandstorm damage, you could also consider switching Terra types to something that is not Steel, Rock, or Ground, such as Fire, to become immune to burns. Although I like the damage from Adamant, it may be worth considering switching to Jolly, especially if I have Sword Stance available for extra damage. Next up is Talonflame, and for now I'm using the same Talonflame that I used on my Series 1 team. However, I think there could be a few changes made. I could switch from a Covert Cloak to Safety Goggles, which would allow me to ignore Rage Powder, to land my Taunt or Will-O-Wisp where I want to, and also would allow me to ignore Spore and Sand damage, which can be bad for Talonflame since it might break its Gale Wings. I could also switch to a Terra Ghost to ignore Fake Out and Extreme Speed. For the moveset, I think the moves are fine. I prefer Brave Bird for my damaging move, and I really enjoy having Will-O-Wisp and Taunt on Talonflame, as I think they're really useful. Next on the team is Iron Bundle, and you may quickly notice that this Iron Bundle is not running Freeze Dry. Yes, this Iron Bundle is walled by other bundles and water types, but I thought it'd be more important to have Encore as a utility move, since this team is a bit lacking in that regard. Encore is really nice, especially on fast Pokemon like Iron Bundle, so I can Encore opposing fast Pokemon who try to protect versus me. Originally, I was planning on using a defensive utility bundle, but I didn't want to train a new one, so I'm going to go with this standard spread. Terra Ghost on this Iron Bundle allows you to avoid Fake Out and other fighting type moves in the format, though I think you could experiment with other Terra types as well. I was actually considering Chilling Water in place of Hydro Pump on the defensive set, as fast Chilling Water is kind of like a baby doll eyes, and once I missed 5 Hydro Pumps in a row, so I don't like that move. I'm not sure if it's worth investing in a special attack if I'm running Chilling Water, but I might try that out as well. Next we have Terra Steel Fluttermane with Protect, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, and Mystical Fire. I think Terra Steel works well on this team, since this way Fluttermane can be in the sand without losing its sash. I think you could also go Dazzling Gleam over Moonblast, but I like Moonblast. And I have Mystical Fire here for Steel types, such as Scizor, who may want to Bullet Punch me, or even Goldengo if they Terra. Overall, the Fluttermane set isn't too surprising here, and it's just really powerful this format. Fifth on the team is Gardevoir, and Gardevoir is one of my favorite Gen 3 Pokemon, and I just wanted another Pokemon to sit next to Garchomp while it's earthquaking, which Gardevoir can do because of the telepathy ability. Gardevoir's set is probably the most flexible or replaceable. Right now I'm running a slow set with Citrus Berry and Protect, Dazzling Gleam, Psychic, and Aura Sphere. The Terra is Psychic for now since that's what I hatched it with, though I'll probably switch it to Fairy if I continue to use Gardevoir. The EV spread is just max special attack, with enough speed to outrun non-booster Paradox Mons when Gardevoir is under Tailwind, and the rest of it is in HP, with a point split between defenses. I think I could consider switching Gardevoir to Iron Valiant since most of the coverage moves are about the same, but it would give me access to Wide Guard, which is pretty useful. Regarding EVs, I think I could also consider adding a bit more to speed to outspeed Dragapult after Tailwind, which is only 107, 3 points higher. Lastly, I have Tyranitar. I've actually been keeping an eye out for Tyranitar since the series began, since I really enjoyed using it in Series 1, but I haven't found a team that I especially liked yet. I saw online someone mentioned running Rock Blast with loaded dice to KO sashed Paradox Mons, especially since Tyranitar has the bulk to take the hits, so I thought I'd put down the team. I didn't change my spread from the one that I had, though I would consider a little less speed and more attack and defense. Terra Flying is a nice Terra for Tyranitar, as it helps with the fighting and ground weaknesses and allows me to Earthquake next to Tyranitar. Flying damage is also pretty strong versus grass types like Amoonguss, and I think I could consider a different move in the Ice Punch slot. Tyranitar has a lot of options. I think I could run Protect there, since I'm not running Assault Vest anymore, or I could just switch back to Assault Vest. That's it for the team overview. Leave any suggestions for changes I could make to this team in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Now let's show them off in battle. This first team is a little bit unusual. They have Pelipper and Torkoal, along with Serena, Iron Hands, Annihilate, and Oranguru. I'm a little bit confused by the double weather, but I'm going to bring my own. Tyranitar is going to be in the back here. I can switch it in to take control of the weather whenever I want. They don't really have too much speed control on their team. They do have maybe like Tailwind on Pelipper or Trick Room on Oranguru, but it's not like fast speed control, so I'm not too worried about them sweeping past me. The Annihilate is a bit of a question mark here. I'm not sure if it's a bulky set. I don't see a Mousehold, I don't see a Grimmsnarl. Could be a Final Gambit set, so I'm a little bit wary of that. I also have to be a little bit careful about a Fake Out in the lead. I don't really want to let them set up the Trick Room too easily and then just maybe Belly Drum or Sword Stance and then just run me over. So I think I'm going to be leading the Flutter Mane and the Iron Bundle here. Flutter Mane is immune to Fake Out and can threaten damage versus Annihilate and Iron Hands. Iron Bundle can also threaten pretty big damage and can Terra Ghost if I want to ignore a Fake Out. For my last Mon, I'm going to be running Garchomp, as Garchomp is able to resist Torkoal and does pretty big damage against my opponent's team. I can throw off Earthquakes versus a lot of them, or Rock Slides versus the Pelipper. So my opponent sends out a pair of monkeys, Oranguru and Annihilate. I'm expecting a Trick Room from the Oranguru, but I've never really seen these two paired together, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect. Could be some sort of bulky set as well, but I'm just going to double into Oranguru and try to stop the Trick Room from going up. The Annihilate could attack here, but I do have a Focus Sash on Flutter Mane. I don't really need Iron Bundle too much here. Honestly, I also expect Annihilate to potentially Terra or Protect or even switch here. But this turn I think I should have considered just going for a Terra Ghost, because the Rage Fist would not have any stacks and would do very little damage versus my team. My opponent's actually going to go for a Terra on Oranguru, and it's Terra Steel, so it's going to be resisting the Moonblast from my Flutter Mane and most likely being able to live the turn. Hydro Pump does land, does a little bit less than half though, and Close Combat will be finishing off the Iron Bundle. Terra Ghost would have been okay there, as it would have let Iron Bundle live, and then the Scarf Annihilate, since it is faster than the Flutter Mane, would have been locked into a fighting type move versus two ghost types, which would have been very nice for me. My opponent does get the Trick Room up, and now I will be sending in Garchomp on the Iron Bundle slot. Since they did set up the Trick Room, I'm expecting them to have Torkoal somewhere, so I kind of want to save Tyranitar for when Torkoal comes out so I can overwrite the weather. This next turn I'm a little bit scared to KO Oranguru because I would give them a free switch in. The Annihilate isn't doing too much here since it is locked into that close combat. If I protect on the Garchomp, that means the Annihilate wouldn't be able to deal any damage. They could also switch as well, but the switch is a little bit risky for them. It does mean they might be taking an attack on the way in. But this turn I'm just going to go for a Mystical Fire into Oranguru and then a Protect on the Garchomp. I could have also attacked with the Garchomp instead and went for a Protect on the Flutter Mane, but I was a little bit scared of Oranguru throwing a Foul Play into Garchomp and dealing a lot of damage. Protect comes out, so I will be very safe this turn, but Oranguru actually goes for a Terra Blast here, and it aims into my Flutter Mane, so it's dealing a nice chunk of steel damage. Mystical Fire will be picking up the KO on Oranguru though. And since we are a Ghost type on the Flutter Mane, we do not have to worry about the Annihilate here. We did give our opponent a free switch in, but I'm not too worried about it. Torkoal's going to be switching in on the Oranguru slot, setting up the Sun. It also will proc my Protosynthesis, not Photosynthesis, and boost my speed, so Flutter Mane's now the slowest on the field. But I'm just going to send in Tyranitar this turn. Since I have Flutter Mane out, it's very unlikely that Annihilate would go for a close combat into the Ghost type slot, so Tyranitar should come in pretty safely. And on the Garchomp, I'm just going to go for a Rock Slide here, since I don't want to KO my own Tyranitar. Torkoal is going to go for the Eruption, but since the Sun is gone, it doesn't deal too much damage to my Garchomp. I'm going to go for a Rock Slide, deal about half to the Torkoal. So the Eruption should be doing a lot less damage now. And now it does get the close combat off into the Garchomp, but it doesn't pick up the KO. This next turn, the Tyranitar is in a little bit of trouble. It's kind of vulnerable to the fighting move from the Annihilate, a potential Earth Power from Torkoal, or an Earthquake from my own Garchomp. So I'm going to go for a Terra Flying here. I am still expecting the attacks into Garchomp since Garchomp is quite low right now. So I'm going to go for a Protect on the Garchomp slot. It'll also let me stall out turns of Trick Room. And then I'll go for a attack with the Tyranitar slot since it's still pretty healthy. I think I could have attacked into either Annihilate or Torkoal, but I wanted to get rid of the Annihilate since it is pretty fast and Trick Room won't be up for too many more turns. The Protect comes out, and the Torkoal actually goes for a Flamethrower into the Garchomp slot, so we're going to be nice and safe versus that. Terra Blast is going to come out and pick up the KO on Annihilate. And we're in a pretty nice position here. Garchomp is low on HP, but I do have a Tyranitar and a Flutter Mane, which can threaten my opponent. They're sending in Serena as their last one. It doesn't really threaten too much damage versus me. Maybe he could go for a Play Rough or something into Garchomp, but I'm just going to go for a Terra Blast into the Serena. Torkoal is going to go for a Flamethrower into the Tyranitar slot this time, and since I'm not a Rock type anymore, I don't get the special defense boost from Sandstorm, but I'm still able to hang on after the Zen Headbutt. No flinch either, so Terra Blast is going to take out the Serena. I lied, it is not going to take out the Serena. That Earthquake is going to pick up a double KO here, and that's going to be the game, so GG's to our opponent. I wondered what the other side of the team was like if they brought like Pelipper. They probably wouldn't have brought Iron Hands either way since I do have two Fairy types and the Ground type Garchomp. So they're probably too scared to bring that. Yeah, I would have liked to see what the Pelipper could do, especially since it is in the name card. My next opponent is bringing their own Tyranitar, along with Houndstone, Great Tusk, Iron Bundle, Goldengo, and Talonflame. So I see that they have Sand. I probably won't bring my own Tyranitar versus this. I don't think my Tyranitar has the best matchup into their Mons here. But the Garchomp and Talonflame look pretty good in the lead. As a good matchup versus Goldengo, I outspeed their Great Tusk, and I can go for like a Rock Slide or something and KO their Talonflame. Iron Bundle seems pretty good versus their Rock, Ground, and Fire types, and Flutter Mane is able to threaten a lot of damage and is very fast as well. I don't really like Gardevoir here. It's kind of walled by Goldengo, and if they Terra their Tyranitar, I can't hit it super effectively either. I'm also weak to the Houndstone, so yeah, overall, probably not the best bring here. My opponent's going to be sending out the Talonflame and the Goldengo in the lead, so they have to be scared of my Earthquake for sure, and I'm not too threatened by their side. I'm expecting either a Switch or a Terra on the Goldengo. Might be Terra Flying or Terra Water. But yeah, I'm just going to go for a Tailwind and a Rock Slide. Earthquake seems a little bit obvious, and it could be punished pretty easily. My opponent does go for a Terra here. And it's going to be the Terra Water on their side. I do wish it was the Terra Flying so they'd take super effective damage from this Rock Slide, but it's okay. They're still taking neutral. My Talonflame goes for the Tailwind, but their Talonflame doesn't. So I'm just going to go for a Rock Slide, take out the Talonflame before Tailwind goes up. I'm guessing they probably went for a Will-O-Wisp, since they might have been expecting a Earthquake. Yeah, they're going to go for a Nasty Plot on the Goldengo. So now their Goldengo is able to threaten my Mons with a KO. But they are still slower than me since they don't have a Tailwind, so I'm not too worried about them. My opponent's going to be sending in Tyranitar next, but since they've already used their Terra, Earthquake looks really good here. The Tyranitar is not going to suddenly sprout balloons from its head and start flying, so Earthquake's going to deal a lot of damage here. With the Talonflame, I could either go for a Brave Bird into the Goldengo, or a Will-O-Wisp into the Tyranitar. I think I'm going to go for a Will-O-Wisp into the Tyranitar, as the Goldengo, since it is a Nasty Plot set, it definitely has Protect as well. So I don't want to like Brave Bird into a Protect on the Goldengo, and then get Rock Slided on my Talonflame. That would be kind of unfortunate, so I'll just go for a Will-O-Wisp this turn. Unless it misses. So maybe I should just went for the Brave Bird, but it won't miss. But we do get the Earthquake off. It's going to deal a lot of damage, but not enough to pick up the KOs, unfortunately. My opponent's going to use Make It Rain on the Goldengo, but it's at +2, so it's going to pick up a double KO on my team. I kind of valued the Will-O-Wisp a little more, since the Tyranitar sometimes are going to be running Assault Vest, so they wouldn't be able to protect themselves. And I could see them either going for a Rock Slide and KOing my Talonflame, or like an Ice Punch or something, and dealing a lot of damage to my Garchomp. So that's why I went for the Will-O-Wisp instead. But my opponent does take Life Orb and Sandstorm damage, so they're actually going to be fainting here. So luckily we did enough damage with that Earthquake to bring them low enough that they did not survive the turn. I'm going to be sending in my last two Mons here, the Flutter Mane and the Iron Bundle, but we do have Tailwind and a lot of HP. We still have our Terra available as well. I'm guaranteed to live one attack because of the Terra Steel and the Flutter Mane. We won't be fainting to any Sandstorm damage here. So this turn, I'm just going to go for a Shadow Ball into the Houndstone, and then I'll just go for an Icy Wind just to slow him down. I think I could have also just attacked into the Tyranitar, since I do have that Focus Sash still intact. And I'm not sure if the Icy Wind would have KO'd the Tyranitar from this range. But I'm not in too much danger here, so I just went for the Icy Wind anyways. But I guess we'll never find out if he KOs from that range because we end up getting a crit on both my opponents here. So a little bit lucky for me, even though it wasn't really necessary. And we're going to be attacking into the Houndstone here, picking up the KO and the win. So good game to our opponent. I really like the Houndstone, it's pretty cool. But Ro was worried about the last respect. He should first respect my Garchomp. This next battle is against another Tyranitar, but this time they have Tatsugiri, Arcanine, Dondozo, Fluttermane, and Lycanroc. Tyranitar Lycanroc is kind of annoying to deal with since I don't have any mons that are like fast enough to outspeed the Sandrush Lycanroc unless I go for like a Tailwind and like Icy Wind on Iron Bundle or something like that. So I'm going to be going Garchomp and Gardevoir here, that way I have two chances to like break the sash on the Lycanroc because I am a little bit afraid of the Endeavor as well. And in the back I like the Iron Bundle and the Talonflame as I need answers for Dondozo, and Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, and Encore are all pretty good options to have versus Dondozo. But this is one of the instances where the Iron Valiant with Wide Guard would have been pretty useful, that way I'd be able to block the Rock Slides from hitting my team. And then I wouldn't have to worry about any flinches, and the Tyranitar Lycanroc duo is just a lot weaker overall. But we're going to send in Garchomp and Gardevoir versus the Lycanroc Tyranitar. And I'm just going to try to spread as much damage as possible, Earthquake and Dazzle. I'm not going to go for the Aura Sphere here since I am kind of expecting a Terra Flying from the Tyranitar, especially since I'm Earthquaking here and I don't want to have a really resistive attack into that slot. I'm also going to be Terra Steel on my Garchomp here because I am a little bit afraid of an Ice Punch from the Tyranitar. I don't want to be fainting just yet. So we have the Terra from our side. And they actually go for a Terra on their side as well. So it's most likely going to be that Terra Flying Tyranitar. I kind of wish it wasn't, but so be it. Tyranitar's going to be avoiding my Earthquake this turn, but that's why we Dazzled. Lycanroc goes for the Rock Slide. It does have a decent amount of damage to my Gardevoir, and unfortunately Garchomp does flinch here. Dazzling Gleam does do a lot of damage to the Lycanroc though, so it should be in range of another one. Except I won't be able to use another one because because Gardevoir is dead. But the Tyranitar takes a little bit of damage from the Sandstorm now. This turn I'm a little bit scared of the close combat from their Lycanroc onto my Garchomp since I'm a Steel type now, so I'm going to go for an Icy Wind on the Iron Bundle and then protect Garchomp this turn. They could of course attack into the Iron Bundle, but I was kind of expecting that they wouldn't. And with the Icy Wind, Bundle would be able to outspeed Lycanroc next turn. If they did KO the Iron Bundle, then I could just set up a Tailwind next turn and go for something like that. The opponent's actually going to go for an Endure on the Lycanroc here, so very nice for me. That means the Iron Bundle will probably be living this turn. Garchomp goes for a Protect. The low kick is going to go into the Garchomp here, luckily, so I'm taking very little damage this turn, just the Sand Chip. And now the Iron Bundle is going to be faster than their Lycanroc. I can go for another Icy Wind if I wanted to, and then just an attack with the Garchomp. They won't be able to stop this. My opponent's going to be swapping out the Lycanroc here. He might be able to bring it back in and get the Endeavor off, but the sand might be gone by then. They send in Dondozo on the Lycanroc slot, so it's going to be taking a decent amount of damage here since they didn't bring Tatsugiri in just yet. And luckily we take down the Tyranitar here with a Rock Slide, so I won't have to worry about sand getting set up again this battle once it expires. The Dondozo also reveals that it is leftovers here, so I know it's not just a resto, which is pretty nice for me, though it could be a substitute set. My opponent sends Lycanroc back in. I could see them switching to Tatsugiri this turn, but I don't think they will just yet, and I'm a little bit curious to see what they do. I also want to stall out Sand turn, so I'm just going to Protect here. Both my team members are going to Protect. And so is the opponent's Dondozo. Looks like we didn't have to worry about a switch here, which is really nice, no sub either. And the opponent's Lycanroc is just going to go for a close combat, deal 0 damage. This next turn I'm going to be swapping in the Talonflame on the Iron Bundle slot since I am expecting a close combat there, and then I can just attack with the Garchomp. If they did go for a switch this turn into the Tatsugiri, that means I would have the Talonflame out and could either Wisp them or taunt them with that. And if they KO'd the Talonflame, that means they'll probably be taking a lot of damage from recoil if they use Wave Crash, or I'd be able to get the Iron Bundle back in and start encoring. Talonflame comes in. Close combat is going to go into that Talonflame. But we are going to be able to finish off the Lycanroc now with its Earthquake. I am expecting a Tatsugiri to be switching in the next turn. But the opponent does use a Wave Crash with the Dondozo, and it does take out my Talonflame. So no taunts or wisps into their Dondozo here, but I do get the Iron Bundle back in. Additionally, the Dondozo is quite low now from all those attacks plus the recoil, so I'm going to send an Iron Bundle here. So this turn I was thinking about using an Encore on the Iron Bundle, lock it into the Wave Crash, since I don't think Wave Crash would be able to KO my Mons. But it turns out from this HP range I should have been able to KO it with a Dragon Claw and like an attack, so I probably should have just went for that. I also forgot about my initial Icy Wind, so I would have been out faster than the Dondozo with Garchomp at this point. I'm going to go for an Encore and a Protect on the Garchomp this turn. This way I can just lock it into the Wave Crash. I don't think Wave Crash would be able to KO the Iron Bundle from this HP. Then the Dondozo would have less from the recoil, and then I could just pick up a KO next turn. Yeah, they're gonna go for the Wave Crash. Unfortunately, it's not targeted into the Garchomp, and they take out my Iron Bundle with a crit, so very unlucky for me, but I should have just went for a Dragon Claw into the Dondozo anyways, but I didn't really know my calcs yet, because I am pretty new with this team. So this turn I will finally get the Dragon Claw off onto the Dondozo. I am Terra Steel though, so I should have an okay matchup into the Tatsugiri in the back. Dragon Claw is able to take out the Dondozo. We lose a little bit of HP from the Life Orb, but I shouldn't be able to faint from the Tatsugiri at this range. Tatsugiri goes for the Muddy Water. It does land. It does get the accuracy drop. And I do miss my Dragon Claw, so that is quite unfortunate for me. If I knew that the Dondozo was in range of a KO, then I wouldn't have had to lose my Iron Bundle to the critical hit Wave Crash. That way I would be able to protect the Garchomp versus the Tatsugiri and then go for an Icy Wind with the Iron Bundle. The Iron Bundle would be able to outspeed the Tatsugiri, get an Icy Wind in, and then after the Icy Wind, Garchomp would be able to outspeed Tatsugiri and pick up the KO. So, a little bit of a snowball effect because I did not know my calcs versus Dondozo, but it's all a learning experience, and now we know. My opponent's going to be running the Volcarona, Talonflame, Scizor, Iron Bundle, Great Tusk, and King Gambit. Garchomp and Talonflame look pretty good here, though they might struggle versus like a Booster Energy Bundle or a Terra Grass Volcarona or like a Terra Flying King Gambit. Fluttermane seems pretty good versus their team with the Focus Sash, but I might need a Terra if things get dicey. The biggest problem is probably the bundle, so I probably should have considered bringing Gardevoir for that, as Gardevoir has nice special defense and has Aura Sphere, which would obliterate the Iron Bundle. But I think Tyranitar's Rock Blast might work, so I brought Tyranitar instead. I just didn't really feel the need to bring Iron Bundle in this matchup, even though there's a lot of mons that are weak to Ice and Water here. I was a little bit scared to use like an Icy Wind and then proc a Defiant from the King Gambit, which would be a little bit annoying for me if it started spamming Sucker Punch. My opponent's going to be leading the Scizor and the Volcarona, the Cloud Watcher, pretty cool mark. But I do have the Talonflame and the Garchomp out, so I'll be able to outspeed my opponent here. I'm a little bit afraid of the Earthquake. I'm a little bit afraid of the Terra Grass into like a Will-O-Wisp on my Garchomp, so I'm going to cover for that by also throwing a Brave Bird into that slot. That way, if they do Terra Grass, they will still faint from the Brave Bird. I also didn't really feel the need to go for a Tailwind just yet, since my opponent's team is kind of slow. My opponent's actually going to switch out Scizor right away. And they're going to bring in the Great Tusk, so it would have been nice if I just Brave Birded into that slot instead, but it's okay. The Brave Bird goes into Volcarona. I didn't actually expect it to pick up the KO. But yeah, it does so much damage. Or maybe Volcarona just was not very bulky. I'm kind of used to the bulky Volcaronas. Earthquake is going to be single target. Actually, is it going to be single target? Earthquake's going to be into this Great Tusk here and deal a little bit of damage. The Iron Bundle is going to come in. I'm expecting an Icy Wind, maybe an attack from their side from the Great Tusk. Could also be a Hydro Pump or a Protect on either side as well. I'm going to be going for a Brave Bird onto the Great Tusk here and an Earthquake and Terra Steel on the Garchomp. This is in case they use any ice moves like Icy Wind, Ice Spinner. Icy Wind's a bit scary here as it would let the Great Tusk outspeed the Garchomp and then potentially get a KO. Garchomp Terra Steels here. The Iron Bundle goes for a Hydro Pump, but actually misses a Talonflame here, so a little bit of luck for me. Brave Bird is going to go into the Great Tusk and pick up the KO. Pretty lucky for me, I think, to play a little bit better. I should have went for a Tailwind on the Talonflame. That way, if the Iron Bundle went for an Icy Wind, my Garchomp would get -1 speed and then +2. So then I would not be slower than the Great Tusk, and I'd still get my Earthquake in. Opponent's going to send in Scizor here. I'm just going to go for an Earthquake again. I do have a lot of tools in the back. I don't think I have to worry too much about my moves here, and I'll just go for a Will-O-Wisp with the Talonflame. I expect something to faint here, probably my Talonflame, because I don't think they have the tools to KO my Garchomp. Iron Bundle's going to go for a Freeze Dry. Now that I'm taking so much damage from Recoil, it's going to pick up the KO on Talonflame. Earthquake's going to come out from Garchomp. That's definitely going to KO Bundle. Do about half to Scizor, but that is going to be game for my opponent. I don't think they have any way to KO the rest of my mons. They don't even KO Garchomp because they went with Sword Stance. But I will just finish this battle here. They're going to try to bullet punch me at the end, but I do have that Focus Sash, so no KOs for you. We take out the Scizor. Good game to our opponent here, but that's going to be the last battle for this video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm looking to make some changes to this team, and I might come out with more videos on this team in the future, so hit that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date on what I'm doing. Until next time, bye bye.